Edward Fishman, senior research scholar at Columbia University and author of the forthcoming book, Choke Points: American Power in the Age of Economic Warfare, said, "The BRICS have finally found a unifying mission circumventing American financial dominance." Wow, there you go. Thursday, October 24th, 2024, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So the BRICS summit, of course, ends today. And I told you, I think yesterday, that I would keep a tab on it and report on it in a few days. But I think I need to report on it now because we've had some interesting, very interesting developments at the BRICS summit. And it concerns the dollar indirectly. The dollar, and by the dollar, I don't mean the dollar bill that you use every day in the US for payments, but the dollar system, the world monetary system that we've had in different, let's say, conditions ever since the end of World War II. It's a dollar not just that serves as a reserve asset, but a dollar that's used to trade all around the world. Even countries that don't have the dollar as their currencies trade with each other with the dollar. Of course, in 1971, Richard Nixon detached it from real money, i.e. gold. They were able to, the Americans, with the cooperation of the Saudis, able to develop a petrodollar system. And I'm going to put some links above here so you can look at the Bretton Woods system, the petrodollar system. I'm not going to go too much into it, but suffice it to say, about 18 months ago, on the 22nd of March 2023, well, a bit over 18 months ago, China's President Xi met President Putin in Moscow. And Xi said to Putin that there's going to be changes not seen for 100 years. So I don't know if you remember this meeting, but yeah, a lot of people were wondering what that was going to be. My view, of course, was that it was going to be something to do with the dollar system and the new BRICS monetary architecture. So that's what I'm going to talk about today because, as I said, we have some really big news. And I think October 23rd, which was yesterday, will be remembered for a long time because, yeah, it's the day that China abandoned the dollar system. And I'm not saying they're not going to keep using dollars for payments, for trade, but it's the day they decided to join another club. So I think for the West and for the United States especially, it's going to continue to hurt. It's going to continue to hurt us. And is it any wonder that our governments, our treasuries especially, are in such dire straits? I'm here in the UK, and the current government doesn't know where else to go to get money from us to keep the government from collapsing, from going bankrupt. And why is that? Well, because all these global South countries, and the BRICS included, they're setting up their new system of international payments, and they don't need any more dollars. They don't need any more pounds or euros if they're trading amongst themselves. And that means less demand for our bonds. That means higher interest rates. And that's the last thing we need right now, is higher interest rates. Not me in particular, and hopefully not you, because I've told people that the bond markets were going to turn a few years ago, and that you should try to pay down debt. You must be asking, well, I haven't seen anything on CNBC, on Fox News, on Bloomberg about this. Well, of course, you're not going to see much about this. They're going to play it down. Wall Street, City of London, our governments are going to play this down. Even the guy who came up with the acronym BRICS, he's a former Goldman Sachs banker from the UK, Jim O'Neill. I saw the other day that he poo-pooed the BRICS. He said, oh, they're just trying to get together a new group. I'm not sure how much they can do. So what I'm going to do now is bring up an article that was published yesterday by none other than the Voice of America. And because a lot of people are going to say, what are you talking about? You're exaggerating. But the Voice of America is a mouthpiece of the U.S. government abroad. They broadcast in 40 different languages, and they project American power. I remember listening to the Voice of America back in Brazil. You could get the Voice of America in English. I used to listen to it. So yeah, Voice of America was founded February 1st, 1942. International state-funded broadcaster. So yes, they're admitting it. China backs Russia proposed BRICS payment system. And it's interesting that yesterday, as you can see here, President Putin was presented with a BRICS bill at the BRICS summit in Kazan. This is symbolic in nature, but it illustrates the direction that the global alliance is moving. The banknote was made in Russia. So let's go through the Voice of America article. So you can see President Xi and Vladimir Putin and Egyptian president. They clinked glasses during a festive reception to mark the BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia, yesterday, October 23rd. So I wonder if they're drinking French champagne or maybe some Russian sparkling wine. Who knows? Anyway, this is what the Voice of America says. Gathered Wednesday at a summit in the Russian city of Kazan, the members of BRICS adopted a joint declaration calling for the creation of an independent payment system based on their national currencies, a move in response to what they regard as illegal sanctions that are damaging the global economy. BRICS member countries, which account for about 35% of the global economy, and there are many others that want to join, like Turkey, and I think there's about just over 30 countries that attended this summit, issued the Kazan Declaration, which calls for the elimination of unilateral economic sanctions and secondary sanctions that are contrary to international law. I thought we had a rules-based order in the West, but apparently not. The BRICS membership includes the initial 5, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and expanded when several countries joined this year, including Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. It's interesting because there's doubt about whether Saudi Arabia has officially joined, and Mohammed bin Salman was actually meeting a neocon yesterday in Saudi Arabia by the name of, Blinken from the United States, the Secretary of State. But it's interesting that the U.S. government is saying that Saudi Arabia is a BRICS member, expressing concerns over unilateral coercive sanctions that have disruptive effects on the world economy. The BRICS members agreed to examine the establishment of an independent cross-border settlement and depository infrastructure called BRICS Clear. So there you go. In supporting inclusive cross-border payment instruments, they encouraged the use of local currencies in financial transactions between BRICS countries and their trading partners. The other thing they've done, of course, and I've spoken about this many times, and many others out there have, is that this BRICS clear mechanism should include 40% of BRICS countries' reserves should be in gold, and the other 60 in different currencies, fiat currencies. Edward Fishman, senior research scholar at Columbia University and author of the forthcoming book, Choke Points: American Power in the Age of Economic Warfare, said, "The BRICS have finally found a unifying mission circumventing American financial dominance." Wow, there you go. And I think America only has itself, and America's allies have only themselves to blame for this. For BRICS members under U.S. sanctions, namely Russia and Iran, the mission is already a top national priority, he said. Others, such as China, see it as a handy way to insulate themselves from potential sanctions in the future. Fishman said the United States should take BRICS initiatives seriously and move to further solidify the dollar's advantages. I'm not sure about that. As they could well bear fruit over the next decade, although it's unlikely that any of these initiatives will make a dent in the dollar's global role in the near future. Basically saying he doesn't think the BRICS are going to make a dent in the dollar's global role. I think it already is. Circumventing US dollar. In his speech at the summit on Wednesday, or yesterday, Chinese President Xi Jinping said the reform of the international financial architecture is pressing, and he called for the connectivity of financial infrastructure among BRICS members and the expansion of the New Development Bank, or NDB. Headquartered in Shanghai, the NDB was established by the initial 5 BRICS members in 2015. It serves as an alternative financial institution to the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. I'm going to stop here. And I'm going to put a link to this article below in the description. You can read the whole thing. What they're saying here is nothing new to us. But it goes to show that even the Voice of America has had to admit that something out there is happening. And there's something called Thucydides' trap. It's a concept that falling empires will act like a cornered rat, so to speak, and they don't want to give up. And the idea is that when they're under threat, they'll start major crises, they'll start a war, they'll fight back. Is that something that the U.S. could do, especially with this announcement yesterday from China about backing Russia's new BRICS payment architecture? Definitely, but if the current administration is going to do it, they've got 12 days. Or if Trump wins, I'm not too sure. He talks the talk. I mean, he said a few weeks ago that countries that abandon the dollar, that he's going to put 100% tariffs. So we'll have to see. I think that's part of the Thucydides trap too. And it's going to be interesting times, because having the world's reserve currency means that you can just print money and borrow, and that people will just buy your debt, and you can buy all their commodities or all their goods for nothing. Basically, they have to work, and they have to earn dollars to buy things from other people. I mean, it is a privilege, and I think the elite in the United States and Wall Street, they don't want to give this up. But, well, we're going to find out in the next 6 months to 12 months what happens. And just go over a tweet here by William Middlecop. He says, BRICS alliance, over 4 billion people. The West alliance, 1.5 billion people. Still independent, 2.5 billion people. 90% of that population live in countries where China is their leading trading partner. None of these countries have joined the West in sanctions against Russia. It's a numbers game. The West is losing. And before we look at the markets, the other important development that I see from this BRICS summit is the fact that Russia, under the leadership of Putin, has been able to get China and India to make up, because they've been pretty big rivals and enemies, kind of enemies. But I think that's highly significant. You've got two of the most populous countries in the world. And did you know that India doesn't issue tourist visas to Chinese? That's how bad a relationship they've had. But now this seems to be changing too. And I think that's really groundbreaking for the BRICS movement and the BRICS alliance. And I think today the thing to look at is how many countries are going to be accepted to join BRICS from, I think, January 2025. We'll probably hear that from the summit, which ends today. So it's 10 to 9 a.m. London time. Let's quickly go through the markets. We saw a big move down, not just in gold and silver yesterday, but also the stock market. I wasn't surprised by the move down in gold and silver. Markets don't go up in a straight line. So what's happening this morning here in London? Well, spot gold is at $27.33. It's up $17. The high's been 37. So the all-time high, I think it was printed yesterday, was 27.58. So we're not too far away from there. The low overnight is 27.12. Silver, of course, when precious metals correct down, silver always corrects down more because that's the way silver is. And it also goes up more when precious metals go up. So this morning we're at 34.20, up 50 cents or 1.5%. High's been 34.28 and the low 33.63. The Dow futures is virtually unchanged. The NASDAQ is up 170 points and the S&P is up 25 points. What about the fiat currencies or the currencies? Well, the dollar did rally yesterday against the major currencies, but today things are a little different. So this morning the pound is rebounded. It's up 1/3%, 129.60. The euro is up slightly at 107.90, and the dollar now is down versus the yen about 0.5% at 152.12. Crude oil. Well, WTI crude is up 1.33% at 71.68, and Brent is up 1.2% at 75.54. Treasury yields continue to rise yesterday, but this morning, overnight, they're down a little bit here. The 2-year is down 4 basis points at 405. The 10-year is down 5 basis points, just below 420. So with that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day. Take care. Bye.